And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the final edition of Up in the Air for Fall 2013. I'm Ryan Breton.
And I'm Meredith Fish. We have a lot coming up in the show tonight, Ryan.
Definitely do, Meredith. And Dakota is actually out in San Francisco at the AGU Fall Meeting with a number of students from the College of EMS. So I'll be here with Meredith and also filling in at the Climate Wall later in the show.
And tonight we have JP, Nicola, and Brady Forrester coming to join us for our weather risk report this week.
But there's a lot of news and information coming out of the climate enterprise and weather world, so let's get started with Update in the Air.
With all the things our smartphones can do, they just got smarter with the ability to measure urban temperatures. Because of the urban heat island effect, measuring the temperatures in cities is vitally important. With city temperatures warmer than surrounding areas, the extra heat can be harmful to the increasing number of city dwellers. Smartphones already have sensors for battery temperatures which reflect the phone's surroundings. Using smartphones allows for enough users to even out noise in the data. Researchers created an algorithm for a heat transfer model to use the phone's battery temperature to find the outside air temperature. This model was able to accurately translate air temperature in cities such as Los Angeles, but Moscow and Paris did not work as well. They hope to use this model as a basis to make the estimates of air temperature part of satellites to get more real-time data.
A very quiet hurricane season is helping property casualty insurers have their most profitable year since the Great Recession began. That said, the industry still paid billions of dollars in claims for other types of weather disasters this year. Robert Hartwig, an economist and president of the Insurance Information Institute, told the Hartford Courant that he is, quote, virtually certain that as long as there are no major weather catastrophes in the last few weeks of the year, it will be the industry's most profitable year since 2007. While this may be viewed as good news, it does not necessarily mean prices will go down for consumers next year. This is being viewed as a temporary respite, and 2014 could be quite different. Weather events that lead to catastrophe losses include tornadoes, winter storms, and hurricanes. Since 1993, hurricanes have accounted for 40% of catastrophic costs, and tornadoes were a close second at 36%.
NASA has been building an international global precipitation satellite for 4 years now. As of the end of November, the Global Precipitation Measurement Corps Observatory made the 7,300-mile journey from Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland to Japan, where the satellite will be launched in early 2014. This satellite will take precipitation measurements from other orbiting satellites, both U.S. and international, and create a comprehensive output of global precipitation every 3 hours. Using both the GPM microwave imager and the dual-frequency precipitation radar, the satellite will form a complete dataset of global precipitation. According to various researchers at 8 institutions, the methane emissions from fossil fuel extraction and refining are nearly 5 times higher than previous estimates. Not only was the fossil fuel estimate off, but the contribution of methane emissions from livestock was also underestimated and could be as high as twice the original value. Methane is a strong greenhouse gas produced through various human and natural sources, with anthropogenic sources accounting for 60% of the total. The new methane emission values were obtained using a different methodology. Instead of using a bottom-up approach, this study used the top-down approach, measuring the amount of methane in the atmosphere and then using statistics to trace it back to the source. Most of this data is collected from observations from the tops of telecommunication towers and research flights. This paper is being described as a clean, solid, and detailed analysis of the total U.S. concentrations to date.
A team from the Atmospheric Sciences Department at the University of Alabama is tracking and measuring lake-effect snowstorms from Lake Ontario in New York with the hopes to improve weather forecasting. This team from the South is a part of an effort called the OWLS, the Ontario Winter Lake Effect Snow Project, which actually includes researchers from our Meteorology department here at Penn State. A number of instruments, including different Doppler technologies, radiometers, and celiometers, will be used by the teams participating in the research project. Information will be collected on observations ranging from electric fields created by the clouds, which can produce lightning, to the sizes and types of snowflakes that fall. Certainly an interesting project and one that we'll be following. And that's Update in the Air for this week. We'll be back right after this with more. Welcome back. We're happy to be joined by Weather Risk Management Club members Brady Furster and JP Nicola. They are here with this week's risk report.
So guys, it's been very cold here in the Northeast. Can you tell us what's been going on out in California?
Thanks for having us, Meredith and Ryan. That's exactly right. A strong dip in the jet stream that brought large amounts of snow for areas of the Mountain West also brought cold temperatures as far south as California. Record lows were broken across the state as temperatures were as much as 20 degrees below normal last week and into the weekend.
Now, Brady, how does a cold spell like this impact the economy?
California alone has a $2 billion a year citrus industry. The recent below average temperatures were low enough to damage the fruit and delay harvest. Most of the damage is expected to occur in the navel orange crops and mandarins, especially for mandarins, for these crops are smaller with a thinner rind, making it more susceptible to the cooler temperatures.
Is it often that temperatures get that cold in Southern California?
According to one farmer, a freeze happens roughly every 7 years. It is a consensus among meteorologists that an extended period of cold weather like this hasn't occurred since the late 1990s. Specifically, overnight lows in the San Joaquin Valley, the central growing region for citrus fruit in California, were 10 to 15 degrees below normal last week. Additionally, 95% of the United States avocado production occurs in Southern California, where temperatures also fell below freezing.
Now, how are the farmers in California trying to protect these crops?
A crucial temperature for the citrus crop is roughly 28 degrees Fahrenheit. To protect these crops, farmers ran warm water through the soil and used wind machines to stir the boundary layer and increase the temperature by only a few degrees. On December 3rd and 4th, citrus farmers in the San Joaquin Valley spent roughly $6.7 million on labor and electricity to protect their 230,000-acre farm. In total, $29 million have been spent on frost protection measures since last Tuesday. Farmers are only 15% of the way through their growing season, leaving a significant percentage of the crop at risk for damage. In the avocado industry, the frost is freezing the 1/4 inch vine, allowing the fruit to fall prematurely.
And do we have any idea of the extent of the losses yet?
Any losses won't likely be known for several weeks. However, according to the California Citrus Mutual, it is expected that the mandarin crop will sustain the most damage, especially those along the border rows where wind machines and water protection are less effective.
And thanks so much for joining us, JP and Brady.
Thanks very much for having us, Meredith and Ryan,
We really enjoyed producing your weather risk report this semester.
and we hope to see you again.
Yeah, definitely. The risk report's been a great part of our show each week this semester. And Meredith and I will be back with more after this.
It's been cold and snowy around Pennsylvania recently. Even Philadelphia got into the snow this week. But what can we expect for the next 8 to 14 days? Ryan's here now with the details.
And thanks very much, Meredith. You're absolutely right. Definitely a cold and snowy start to December around a lot of the country, and that's going to be the case through the next several weeks as well. We're going to start with a look at the current snow and ice cover around a lot of the nation. We'll be doing this through the course of the winter here and up in the air. Notice that a lot of the eastern half of the country has really seen an expansive amount of snow and ice, and about 2/3 of the nation as of Tuesday were covered in snow and ice. So really impressive for this time of the year. In fact, earlier in the week, we were in the snowiest situation here around the country in terms of snow cover in the past decade. So very impressive start to December in terms of the cold weather and snow. Going forward, what can we expect? This is the 8 to 14 day outlook from December 18th through the 24th. So taking us right into Christmas Eve. It appears we'll begin to get into some above normal temperatures here through the south. It may average much above normal in parts of Florida, above normal here through the south coast and the Gulf Coast, and below normal temperatures are expected here through the Midwest. And some of that may come into Pennsylvania from time to time, though will likely be right on the dividing line between the chill and the mild air at times, the way things appear right now. There's going to be a big ridge out here in the Pacific, a lot of indications of that, and when that tends to happen, cold weather tends to drive into the middle part of the country, and that may continue to be the case much below normal temperatures here through the high plains, Minnesota into Wisconsin as well, and that below normal air may at times come into the Northeast. On the flip side, much above normal temperatures through parts of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and the Four Corners region, so they'll be warming up, and the story there through the past couple of weeks has been the cold weather. The AGU AGU conference going on this week in San Francisco. A lot of people have been talking about the cold. In terms of precipitation, if you have the cold in place, of course, you might get snow, and we're expecting above normal precipitation through the period here through a lot of the northern part of the country. The best chance of that appears to be up here through Montana and into the Dakotas. On the flip side, though, where that warm weather is, below normal precipitation is projected in the next 8 to 14 days. That is this week's Climate Outlook. Meredith will be back right after this with more.
We've talked a lot about the snow and cold tonight, so we're going to continue with that theme with our next report. Tyler Jankowski is here from our TV meteorology class with a look at snowfall and recent winters in State College.
I'm standing just outside Walker Building near the weather observing station here at Penn State. Weather records have been observed for more than 100 years here in State College, but in the last 10 years, Penn State observers have recorded less snow than in decades past. Bill Syrett, manager of Penn State's Jolene Myers Weather Center, says we've only seen 2 average or above average snowfall seasons in the last 10 years.
Yeah, we have had very little snow the past 10 seasons. The last really good winter for snow lovers was 03-04, where we had almost 80 inches here in State College. But since then, we haven't beat 50, and our average is in the 30s. For those years. The long-term average, 46 inches, we haven't been able to reach consistently for quite a while now.
Now, Penn State weather observers haven't just noticed less snow in recent years. In fact, the number of record highs being set has outpaced the number of record lows being set by nearly a factor of 5.
Well, since 2000, the ratio of records set in State College, high temperature records to low temperature records, is 4.6 to 1. So we've had almost 5 times as many record high temperatures as we have had record lows. A couple reasons why that could be happening. The first one is more controversial. That has to do with global warming and increasing CO2 levels. But blaming a lack of records on one cause would be irresponsible, I think. Another potential cause for the higher temperatures is the urban heat island. State College has been growing, and we have more buildings in the vicinity of the weather station.
So what can we expect for this winter? Bill says the answer to that question may not be as conclusive as you might think.
I've always been kind of a law of averages forecaster, and we've gone so long with minimal snow and marginally lame, cold air. I think odds increase that we'll get a snowy and cold winter. The real data, though, outside of my gut, is inconclusive, and the official forecast that I've seen peg equal chances at warm, cold, and average, and snowy, non-snowy, and average winter.
So if you're hoping for a snowy winter here in Happy Valley, just sit back and hope for snow is the best you can do at this point. For Up in the Air, I'm Tyler Jankowski.
And thank you very much, Tyler, for an interesting look at snowfall statistics here in Happy Valley.
And I would like to thank JP and Brady for coming for our last quiz report of the semester.
That's right, and can you believe it, Meredith?
No, I cannot.
Last show of the semester. It's flown by here in fall 2013, but don't worry, Up in the Air will be back with you first week of next semester. We'll be back on January 16th.
And we will be back with more information and features from our climate science students and from the weather risk class.
That's right, but in the meantime, Meredith, that's all for tonight's episode. We thank you very much for joining us. Hope you have a very happy holiday season and a happy new year as well. I'm Ryan Brett.
And I'm Meredith Fish for Up in the Air.